They're poisoning the blood of our country. That's what they've done. They poison mental institutions and prisons all over the world, not just in South America, not just the 3 or 4 countries that we think about, but all over the world. They're coming into our country from Africa, from Asia, all over the world. They're pouring into our country. Nobody's even looking at them.
Disclaimer: this series is not to say genocide will happen, or that it is currently happening within our here-and-day society, since it is an extremely dark and complex term. However, we are noticing increasing similarities between Gregory Stanton's 10 stages of genocide and Trump's current regime. It is also important to recognize that there is in fact a difference between genocide and ethnic cleansing. Despite some overlaps, ethnic cleansing is more focused on the removal of specific ethnic groups from particular areas, as defined in a summary in the Oxford Academic, whereas genocide means any of the following acts committed with an intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group, as such, killing members of the group, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part, imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group, or forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. However, even despite the, as some would say, blind optimism that we hold when broaching this topic, many early signs of genocide are emerging, obvious enough that the Lemkin Institute, an institution named after Raphael Lemkin, the founder of the legal term genocide, has already issued 6 red flag alerts for the USA, an amount large enough to warrant talking about, don't you think? Which is why we shall be starting a mini-series on our channel to shed light on this hardly discussed topic.
Since, as we said, it is a dark and complex term, we are simply describing the exclusion of a group of people using a more structural methodology. Now, Trump is excluding a lot of different groups of people from American society at the moment, but in this series of episodes, we will mainly discuss the expulsion of immigrants, specifically Latinos, since these two are heavily associated. And with the recent Supreme Court ruling, Latinos are not merely associated, but now essentially equivalent to undocumented immigrants. In a 6-3 ruling on September 8th, known as Vasquez Perdomo v. Noem, the Supreme Court granted an emergency request from the Trump administration and temporarily halted an LA judge's order that barred roving patrols from snatching people off California streets and questioning them based on how they look, what language they speak, what work they do, or even where they happen to be. Both the Los Angeles Federal Court and the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals had ruled that these actions amounted to undocumented racial profiling. But you can't get their deportation numbers without finding immigrants in this way. I mean, true criminals hide, but Stephen Miller wants everybody arrested. Why aren't you at Home Depot? Why aren't you at 7-Eleven? What do you mean you're going after criminals?
The 10 Stages of Genocide is a list coined by Gregory Stanton in 1996, founding president and chairman of the Genocide Watch. He describes genocide as a process that develops in 10 stages that are predictable but not inexorable. At each stage, preventative measures can stop it. The process is not linear. Stages occur simultaneously. Each stage itself is a process. Their logic is similar to a nested Russian Matryoshka doll. Classification is at the center. Without it, the processes around it could not occur. As societies develop more and more genocidal processes, they get nearer to genocide. But all stages continue to operate throughout the process. Follow along as we cover the ways the actions of the Trump administration fits into each of these stages.